Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Juan Juan. Juan, welcome on the show.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Pleasure is all ours. So let's get started with who is Juan.
Sure. Yeah, well, Juan is, I would say, a sports fan, but I'm an immigrant. I was born in the Philippines, but grew up in the Bay Area. I could say um, sports kept me out of trouble. I played football, baseball, basketball, ran track, and also wrestled. So you could say my first love was sports growing up in Silicon Valley. But that gave me my discipline, my drive, my competitive spirit, especially being in the Bay Area, where tech was starting up back then. But I went to college and got into tech. Fell in love with tech. Worked for several, I would say, startups in tech startups in the Valley, big companies like Apple as well, and Charles Schwab, being in the web department, web design. Then later did mobile design, UX, UI, and then product management. And today I kind of combine my love for sports and my experience in technology to build Fanalyze.
You've had quite the journey, and I think the adventure is just getting started. So tell us about Finalize.
Yeah, so Fanalyze, the problem we saw playing fantasy football, me and my co-founder, we've been playing for over, I would say, 15 years. That it just took too much time to do research. If you actually did your homework, you could actually win. But it takes time to do homework. So we're
Yes.
like, could we build software for that to speed up the research part? And I asked my co-founder, we're in the same fantasy football league, and we usually won because we knew what data to analyze. And
Mhm.
I asked him what was his process, and Chris Longwood was my co-founder, and his process was he showed me a spreadsheet. I'm like, wow, with data, with macros, with stats, and scores. I'm like, that's insane. And my process was, okay, here's the websites I go to. I go to NFL, I go to Yahoo, I go to CBS, I go to ESPN, and look at rankings, projections, injuries, and so forth. I'm like, let's build software to speed that up, to aggregate that information and put it in one location. And that was the start of Fanalyze, really building software to really solve our problems to win and get that right data points. And then Fanalyze was born.
That's awesome. So give us a sense of the size and scale of your audience, your customer, and also, who's your ideal customer? I mean, I get,
Yeah,
people who play fantasy league, but even within that, is there a subsegment that you're really going after?
yeah, no, definitely. There's about I would say about 100 million Americans playing fantasy sports and betting on sports.
Hmm.
We saw some research from Fantasy Sports Gaming Association in probably 2019, and the people that looked at data and analytics was about 20 to 25%. The persona we're looking for is, not the people that play for free,
Hmm.
people that actually put money in. I would say, two through spending two, 300, $400 a year on, playing to play. They're in probably two leagues and playing a couple of sports, whether it's NFL, MLB, and NBA leagues for fantasy leagues, and that's our target. People that are actually paying, that want a competitive edge and more insights to helping them win, not the I would say the users that play for free.
Okay. And as you're growing and scaling Finalize, what is, think about the biggest challenge that you're facing.
Yeah, biggest challenge is really, at first was just launching, right?
Right.
And then, of course, figuring out what our users want.
Mhm.
And then when we figure that out, now marketing, how do we get these users to get to our platform or app and download it and continue to use it? Once you get that, then you come out, okay, we have to figure out revenue because, money keeps the lights on and then so forth. So the challenges we have so far right now, of course, fundraising is always going to be a challenge. And then getting the traction we need to get to the next milestone.
Makes sense. In terms of, the flip side of challenge is opportunity. What's the, you talked about 100 million potential that are active in fantasy league. Not all of them are serious and, putting money behind it. However, the numbers are still pretty huge, and this is just the
Right.
US, right? This
That's
is
just the
now
U.S. Yes.
exploding all over the world. So what opportunity are you looking at?
Yeah. I mean, we looked at cricket, fantasy cricket,
Hmm.
and amazingly, I didn't know how big it was until I did some research, and there is about 100 million people in India, UK, and Australia playing fantasy cricket, which is the same amount in the US. And I believe these fans are more loyal to cricket, and I've seen that through colleagues and friends and so forth. So we did launch a finalized cricket app for the IPL. They were suspended until September, but we have data for the tournament, so we're testing that out now, and make sure we built the right, I would say, data set product for the fantasy cricket league. And of course, soccer is huge globally. That's probably our next sport after cricket. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think there is also a big opportunity in terms of, NFL, MLB, at least in the US, the
the
fantasy
U.S. Yeah.
fantasy league has been around for a bit, but with soccer and cricket, I think that market and the growth there in itself is a big opportunity. So exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's just with limited resource, how do we get there? But our plan is to get there, and that's always been the goal.
And that's where I believe the funding and the investment opportunity and getting the right people on board comes into play.
That's correct. That is
Right.
correct, Tim.
Juan, look back in the mirror and talk about a lesson learned or a success story. It doesn't have to be limited to Fanalyze, but happy to take that as an experience. What's the one thing that stands out for you? Something that may not have worked, or something that worked out and you're really proud of.
Yeah, a story in college. So my last 2 years of college at San Jose State, I was doing full time at San Jose State, and then full time at the city of San Jose in the accounting department.
Wow.
So I was graduating, I would say in a couple months, and there was a promotion up for a supervisor position. And of course, I was already kind of doing the job, so of course, I interviewed for it and believed they had to give it to me. So they offered it to me, supervisor position, and I declined. And because I knew I was going to graduate in business and marketing, and want to really pursue that,
Mhm.
especially in the tech startups, right?
Yeah.
And I look back, if I stayed with the city, I would have retired. Uh, but that's probably the best decision I've made, because I know where my path is, and my I always wanted to learn and continue to learn and build products. So I believe I made the right decision, but that changed everything for me, because I would have been in the government for a while, but changed my direction in getting into technology and startups. So
That's phenomenal. Sure, you were graduating, I'm thinking you kind of knew a lot of those things already. What was that moment? What was that one thought or decision that really made you say, no, not going to do it?
yeah, so there was a class. Our senior class was there was a web design class
Mhm.
in college, and also a business management class. So we did that class and really fell in love of writing the business plan. We don't do that now, but
Right.
wrote, I don't know how many pages of business information. I would say 10 to 20, and then we designed a website. So I'm like, okay, I could do this. I could build an online company now. And then got into startup early after undergrad, and we kind of continue to learn to build out my first startup. Yeah,
That's amazing. It's really interesting to me how that one experience, one
yeah,
thought can just change your course of life.
that's right. Yeah, it was a tough decision, but yeah, I didn't sleep. I didn't, I knew that where my path was, and it was a great opportunity for me. But they were surprised. Like I said no. I'm like, and because I knew where I was going.
And it's quite a, I would say, coming from that Asian background, it's somewhat of a, well, depends, where you are, but it's quite a untraditional, you know, step to take. So
That's
kudos.
right. You're like, oh, you're stable. Stay there, right? You're like your
Yes.
parents would say, take it, but I said no, and then it's like everyone was surprised, but I knew I made the right decision.
That's great. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit and
Sure,
talk about, kind of go deeper into what we are discussing about you. And the way we do this is through a series of one-line life lessons.
sure.
So please go ahead and share a few with us.
Yeah, I learned it's not a sprint.
Hmm.
It's a marathon. I grew up a sprinter in track, but learned fast that
Yeah.
startups is a long journey, and you continue to learn and make mistakes and learn. Um, I learned that you try to get to revenue as soon as you can because that will solve all the headaches that you will have. And this is I would say this is my third startup, and then you have to surround yourself with the best people
Hmm.
that believe in you, that support you, and believe in the vision. I mean, if you don't have a team that believe in the vision, it's really tough to move forward. And that team is very important. Working for several startups and a couple that I've started on my own as well.
Hmm. So yeah, I agree on the team, right? It's not just knowing what the vision is, but also being there when you're going to hit roadblocks, which you
That's
will,
right. Yeah,
right? And the entrepreneurial journey is never a straight line, either going
never.
up or going straight. It's always a series of ups and downs, and you really need that base to be there with you, and have that kind of trust. Are there other lessons you want to share with us?
Yeah, I was figuring. I was trying to draw a picture of what entrepreneurship is,
Hmm.
and I was thinking of a maze that's going up a mountain,
Uh-huh.
and it's you're up a mountain pushing a boulder, and that's how difficult it is because you have roadblocks, but then you find your way and you find solutions for that, and you keep going. But it's a tough challenge. But that's what I picture in my mind when I kind of picture what entrepreneurship is.
True, and I love that visual because it kind of is a continuous progression. You may stop to take a breath, but you
Yeah,
can never move from what your goal and focus is, uh, because you have to stay on track and
that's right.
keep pushing that boulder.
And then eventually you will find the exit, right? So when you just continue to strive and continue to move forward and progress, and you'll get there.
That's awesome. Are there others you want to share?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, it's really tough. It's just you have to be passionate of what you're building and what you're trying to achieve, because if you don't, you will quit. Uh,
True.
you know.
Juan, thank you so much for taking the time to share your
Oh,
journey with
thank you.
us. We had a great time, and you know, I wish you all the luck with this continued journey on Fanalyze. And I see tremendous opportunity with the way things are progressing and newer leagues are coming into play, and especially with the whole cricket
The cricket
followers
is
around the world.
huge.
It's huge, and so is soccer. So
So it's
really
soccer,
excited
yeah.
to see where that goes.
Yeah, no, we're excited, and I'm glad to just launch cricket. So we're definitely making that happen.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Nitin, and thank you for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Pleasure is all ours. Thanks, Juan.
Thank you.